Hurricane Harry just wrecked Sicily. Right now, over 1,000 emergency rescue missions are underway as the whole coastline gets swallowed by the Mediterranean Sea. Think about this. Waves as tall as a 3-story building are slamming into beach towns. The famous walking path in Santa Teresa de Riva completely fell apart. Coffee shops, stores, and people's homes were wiped out in minutes. Emergency workers launched 1,650 rescue missions in just 3 days. Firefighters are working day and night without stopping. Planes at Malta airport had to abort landings at the last second because the sideways winds were too dangerous. Ferries stopped running, leaving thousands of people stranded on islands with no way to get off. The damage has already topped 1 billion euros, and it is still going up. Sicily alone suffered 740 million euros in damage. And this is not just a once-in-a-lifetime storm. Weather experts say the Mediterranean Sea is heating faster than anywhere else on the planet, turning it into a hurricane-making machine that is destroying buildings and roads built for weather we do not have anymore. Are we watching Europe's beaches disappear for good? Or is Hurricane Harry just the first chapter of a Mediterranean disaster that nobody is ready for? Italian emergency services assembled the biggest peacetime rescue operation in modern history as Hurricane Harry turned 3 regions into disaster zones at the same time. Over 3 days, firefighters handled 1,650 emergencies across Sicily, Sardinia, and Calabria. Sicily's emergency teams dealt with over 1,000 separate situations as coastal towns watched their entire infrastructure fall apart. Firefighters worked around the clock with no breaks. Emergency calls kept coming in faster than teams could answer them. Streets turned into rivers and buildings flooded all the way up to the 2nd floor. Families became trapped on their roofs as water rose in just minutes. Sardinia reports 360 rescue operations focused where the storm surge hits the hardest. Emergency crews navigate winds of 80 miles per hour to reach people who are stuck. Boats flip over in harbors and cars get completely submerged on coastal roads. Calabria's emergency response teams deal with almost 300 different crises along the coast. The sheer scale overwhelms what the region can handle. With ferry service shut down, island communities are completely isolated. Supplies are running low, and medical emergencies that require mainland hospitals become life-or-death situations. Malta International Airport becomes ground zero for Hurricane Harry's isolation crisis. As powerful winds turn one of Europe's busiest island airports into a trap, air traffic controllers watch helplessly as plane after plane tries to land in conditions that are way too dangerous. Meanwhile, all around Malta's coast, massive waves crash over the seawalls with devastating power. Water surges through the streets, flooding ground floor apartments and businesses. Malta has one international airport. When weather shuts it down, the entire country becomes cut off from the world. Medical emergencies that need mainland hospitals face impossible delays. Businesses that depend on air cargo collapse. Tourism dies as travelers cannot get to or leave the island. This is the harsh reality of extreme weather hitting small island countries. A single storm can cut every vital connection to the outside world. The same crisis plays out across Mediterranean islands. Smaller Italian islands that rely completely on ferry boats are totally cut off. What Hurricane Harry exposes is a basic weakness that climate change will keep exploiting over and over. As storms get stronger, island communities face a future where being cut off becomes normal instead of rare. Climate scientists studying Hurricane Harry's intensity point to a disturbing equation that is turning the Mediterranean into a storm-making factory. Warmer oceans create stronger storms. The science is brutally simple and terrifying. Mediterranean sea temperatures have climbed 7 to 11 degrees Fahrenheit, above what they were in the 1900s. That warming loads the air with moisture that creates record-breaking rainfall. Almost 12 inches of rain hammered Sicily and Sardinia in just 2 days. When that water falls as rain over land, the result is catastrophic flooding that overwhelms roads and buildings designed for weather that does not exist anymore. European weather centers tracking Mediterranean patterns report alarming data. The enclosed sea is warming faster than the global average. Unlike Atlantic storm systems that lose power over thousands of miles of open ocean, Mediterranean hurricanes grow stronger in a confined space with nowhere for the energy to go. Scientists call these systems medicanes, Mediterranean hurricanes that act like tropical storms in an area that historically never had them. Climate models said these conditions would not happen until 2040 or later. Hurricane Harry showed up 15 years early. Weather experts at Italy's National Research Council compared today's data to historical records. How often and how strong extreme hurricanes happen has tripled since 2000. Infrastructure built to handle 20th century storms cannot handle 21st century weather. Coastal defenses designed for 10 to 13-foot waves now face 26-foot waves that obliterate century-old construction in minutes. Climate scientists warn that Mediterranean hurricane activity will keep getting worse as sea temperatures keep rising. What Europe experienced with Hurricane Harry is the new normal, not a freak event. Each degree of warming dramatically increases storm power. The Mediterranean is changing from a relatively calm inland sea into a region where hurricane-force storms become regular events that European nations are completely unprepared to handle. The 740 million euros in damage in Sicily alone represents thousands of individual disasters. Families losing their homes, businesses wiped out, and communities that will take years to rebuild, if they rebuild at all. Government officials across southern Italy put together damage reports that show an economic earthquake spreading well beyond where the storm hit. Sicily's governor reports losses over 740 million euros, and that number is expected to jump once they calculate all the lost business income. Sardinia's regional president warns damage could reach hundreds of millions more. Calabria and Malta keep adding up costs that push the total crisis past 1 billion euros. Insurance company executives hold emergency meetings as flood claims overwhelm what the regional market can handle. Many coastal businesses find out their insurance policies do not cover storm surge damage, leaving families financially destroyed with no way to recover. Port shutdowns across Sicily and Sardinia mess up supply chains that feed all of Europe. Container ships sit stuck in harbors. Manufacturing plants in Germany and France report production delays as Mediterranean shipping grinds to a halt. Tourism industry losses multiply across the region during what should be peak winter booking season. Hotels cancel reservations, airlines redirect flights, cruise ships skip Italian ports. The financial damage extends months beyond the actual storm as reputation damage keeps visitors away. Sicily's government asks for emergency European Union disaster relief money. Sardinia applies for infrastructure rebuilding grants. The European Union Solidarity Fund kicks in, but government timelines measure in months, while communities need help right now. The brutal math becomes clear. Spend billions on coastal defenses and better infrastructure, or spend way more on repeated disasters. On January 22nd, Italian authorities officially cancel the red alert warnings as Hurricane Harry moves east into the Adriatic. But the crisis is far from over. Emergency services stay on high alert as engineers check coastal infrastructure damage that could kill more people through delayed building collapses. Entire neighborhoods stay evacuated as officials figure out which buildings are safe to live in. Rebuilding timelines measure in years, not months. Infrastructure engineers looking at Santa Teresa di Riva's collapsed boardwalk face a brutal question. Do they rebuild what was there, or design for a future that will be worse? Every coastal structure destroyed has to be rebuilt to withstand storm conditions that are getting worse every year. Looking at history makes the acceleration undeniable. The Mediterranean has had major storms throughout recorded history, but those disasters unfolded over weeks, with warning periods that allowed preparation. Hurricane Harry compressed catastrophic damage into 72 hours, with intensity that exceeded every historical record. Other Mediterranean countries watch Sicily's destruction with alarm. Spain's weather service upgrades coastal monitoring systems. France speeds up seawall reinforcement programs. Greece holds emergency planning sessions for island evacuation procedures. European Union officials discuss comprehensive early warning system upgrades and cross-border emergency response coordination that actually works under crisis conditions. The policy shift from reacting to disasters to preventing them gains momentum as the economic reality becomes impossible to ignore. Climate scientists analyzing Hurricane Harry's data reach a disturbing consensus. This storm is the new normal, not a one-time event. Mediterranean hurricane intensity will keep getting worse as sea temperatures rise. What devastated Sicily might look mild compared to storms a decade from now. The question facing Europe is no longer whether to adapt, but whether adaptation can happen fast enough. Hurricane Harry has passed. The Mediterranean returns to its deceptive calm, but nothing will ever be the same along the coasts of Sicily, Sardinia, and Calabria. Marco Bellini's restaurant won't reopen. The Russo family can't afford to rebuild their flooded home. Yeppe Marino's fishing business collapsed with his destroyed boat. These aren't just statistics. These are lives shattered by a climate system that's changing faster than European nations can respond. The communities along Sicily's east coast face a brutal choice: rebuild in the same spots and wait for the next Hurricane Harry to destroy everything again, or abandon centuries of coastal heritage and move inland. Neither option is acceptable. Both are inevitable. The questions facing Europe have moved beyond whether the Mediterranean climate is changing. Scientists confirmed that years ago. Now the questions are more urgent. Can infrastructure improvements happen fast enough to prevent catastrophic losses with each new storm? Will emergency coordination get better before the next crisis? How many more billion-euro disasters have to devastate southern Europe before prevention becomes the priority? The Mediterranean is transforming from vacation paradise to a climate battlefield. What happened in Sicily during those 72 hours in January is a warning that every coastal nation from Spain to Greece needs to pay attention to. Storm intensity will keep getting worse. Sea temperatures will keep rising. Hurricane frequency will increase. International climate research centers analyzing Hurricane Harry data reach conclusions that should terrify European policymakers. The atmospheric and oceanic conditions that created the storm are getting worse faster than worst-case predictions. Events forecast for mid-century are happening decades early. Europe stands at a critical turning point. Invest unprecedented amounts in coastal defense systems, early warning networks, emergency response coordination, and climate-resistant infrastructure. Or accept that hurricanes like Harry will repeatedly devastate Mediterranean nations with escalating costs that eventually become unsustainable. The choice seems obvious, but political will remains the missing piece. The waves have pulled back from Santa Teresa de Riva. The empty boardwalk stretches along the coast like an open wound. More will disappear. The only question is how many and how soon.